Well, so I'm redoing this one. So, welcome back, everyone. Yep, that is right. Now, of course, it's been about a couple days since the PS5 Pro has been announced. And, well, it's been a while since I've covered some game controversies. So, welcome to this special video where I will be going through some of Sony's more notable controversies. Now, obviously, I only plan to do the one video about this, same with Microsoft. So, if I accidentally miss something, I'll probably just cover it in another controversies video that isn't focusing on these two. So, of course, obviously, the first one we, of course, have is the Helldivers PSN scandal. Helldivers was a game released on the PS4 and 5 and also on PC. And the cool thing about it is that you didn't really need a PSN account to play it. At least at the beginning. Yeah, Sony thought that making a PSN account mandatory to play this game was a good idea. Now, while the decision got reversed, it definitely affected people's view on Helldivers. And honestly, I don't really hear a bunch of people talk about the game anymore. So it kind of seems like Sony killed the game just for some stupid reason. Well, let's just hope that they never do this again. Well, next up, we of course have movie games. Now, movie games is pretty much referring to games like God of War, Horizon, Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us, and etc. These games have pretty much been just mainly been called interactive movies, or have just kind of gotten criticized for just being too many cutscenes and not enough gameplay. While these games are good, I did like God of War and Ragnarok, and The Last of Us Part 1 and Horizon I plan to play. There kind of seems to be a bit of a valid point when it comes to some of these games. And yeah, I definitely do agree that some of these games are more cutscenes than gameplay. So let's just kind of hope that Sony continues to well, actually make games. Next up, we of course have remaking The Last of Us Part 1. Yeah, this was probably one of the more notable controversies that they've gone into. The Last of Us originally debuted on the PlayStation 3 in its twilight years. The game got a remaster on the PS4. Okay, not a bad idea. I mean, tons of games from that era did make their way onto the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 after it. Dark Souls, Mass Effect, Skyrim, Grand Theft Auto, and etc. The bad thing is that, well, I don't know why a game that came out in 2013 needed a remake on a brand new PlayStation 5. Especially when the remaster can, be played on the PS5 through backwards compatibility. But I'm not in charge at Sony. Let's just hope that this doesn't happen again with other games, because honestly, it's kind of a little lazy. Next up, we of course have the PS5 Slim and the PS5 Pro. Probably, no, probably the most notable controversies that the PS5 has been facing recently. Now, last year, the PS5 Slim was introduced. It got into immediate controversy with the fact that it would need to be connected online in order to set up the disk drive. A decision that kind of ruffled a few feathers. Now, the thing is that, the regular PlayStation 5 doesn't really need that. So the question is, why does the Slim need that? And the question is, why is the PS5 why is the PS5 Pro even a thing? Now, obviously, at this point, I don't know if the PS5 Pro has a disk drive. I haven't really been able to look too much into that. But that's gone into controversy too, for the fact that it's $700, no disk drive. Actually, I think you can get a disk drive. I think it just costs more. But yeah, that's definitely Like, that's causing a lot of controversy. I mean, just why should we have to pay extra for what should already come with the console? And the PS5 Slim also got into similar controversy, which is dumb decisions that Sony makes. Not to mention, well, are they really just needed? Not really. Next up, we of course have similar games or lazy exclusives. Now, this was a criticism I was hearing with Spider-Man 2, and one that I kinda have with God of War Ragnarok. Now, Spider-Man 2, I haven't played yet, although I have heard that it is a little too similar to the first game, according to some people. But with God of War Ragnarok, yeah, it feels a little too similar to the first one. Well, it does interesting things. It just kind of feels like it probably should have spent a bit more time in Yavin. That's all I really have to spout this one. So, of course, moving on to the next controversy. And of course, next up, I of course have the PlayStation 3 reveal. Yeah, so the PlayStation 3, wow, what a bad joke that one was. Now, on one hand, the PlayStation 3 was a fairly interesting console. It was the first PlayStation to have Blu-ray compatibility, which meant that games kind of could hold more data. I mean, take Final Fantasy 13 Skyrim for example. These games came on 2 to 3 discs on the Xbox 360, and on PlayStation 3 they were on one disc. Same thing with Grand Theft Auto, Advanced Warfare, and Call of Duty Ghosts. Games that required 2 discs on the Xbox too. But that came at a cost. Well, kinda twice. The first one being the fact that the PlayStation 3 was super expensive compared to the relatively cheap and easy to develop for Xbox 360. So that kind of meant that a lot of the third-party developers kind of favored Xbox this generation. It also meant that these games usually came out on Xbox first, and if they did come out on PlayStation 3, they usually sucked, like Grand Theft Auto 5, Skyrim, GTA 4, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, Mass Effect, Red Dead Redemption, and Undead Nightmare. Yeah, that's just to name a few. I don't know if it's others, but I've heard Bayonetta 2. So obviously, before I move on to this, PlayStation 3 also had issues with, well, kind of overheating. Not to mention, it was just, well, aside from being difficult to develop for, it was just also kind of a pain in the ass to kind of really even be able to get one because of how expensive Sony made it. Go move, Sony. And obviously, the final one is, of course, the 2011 PSN hack. The PlayStation Network is Sony's, well, online store for the PlayStation. On this, you can get tons of games, DLC, themes, and so on. It's actually a pretty useful thing, and honestly, well, it's kind of hard to believe that consoles didn't have built-in online, stuff for them. But in 2011, oh, it kind of hit the fan. It hit the fan extremely hard. As the PSN was hacked and a lot of people lost their data. Of course, this is not a clever way to get into sponsor. I don't have those. But yeah, so this isn't really a controversy, but Sony's response was what got them into quite a bit of heat as, well, they didn't really handle this correctly. I don't know too much about this, but yeah, it could have been handled a lot better. All in all, is Sony the worst company? Not really. I mean, when you have EA, it's kind of hard to out evil EA. But jokes aside, yeah, I don't know. I like the PlayStation. I like Sony. I think they make some really good games. I also like Xbox. But I will definitely say these two companies do some really dumb things. Obviously, soon I will be taking a look at Microsoft's controversies and poking fun at some of them like I do with Sony's. But with that, I'm done. Thank you all for watching, and I will of course see you all next time, and I will of course be back next time with a Pokemon video or something else. See you all next time.